welcome back to another tutorial for the Minecraft Create mod, where we're going to be making a little farm that can automate andesite alloy for us. Andesite alloy, of course, being the absolute basic material that you need in order to start making bits and pieces of contraptions as well as decorative building blocks so that you can start making more farms with the Create mod. And so this is the little farm that we're going to be making today. What we're going to be doing is we are going to be taking a cobblestone generator. That is then going to be broken down to become gravel, which can be washed into iron and flint, which are the basic ingredients along with lava to create andesite, which can then be mixed together with more iron in order to make our andesite alloy. And I suppose as a little bit of a bonus, you do also get some extra gravel as well, so it's kind of a gravel farm too. Okay, so let's have a little look at what we're going to need to get started. As you can see, we have got two power sources for this little farm. It does use a small windmill as well as one of the small water wheels. It also uses the full plethora of different ways of bashing, crushing and mixing up bits and pieces as well, so you will need to have some andesite alloy available to you before you start making this farm. And it does also have some brass bits and pieces as well too, so you will need to have been to the nether and got yourself a blaze burner. And of course you will need a little bit of a selection as well of building blocks. Okay, so the first thing you're going to want to do is lay down a little row of 12 building blocks. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12. Add another couple just on the end there, onto which you can place a double chest. Then if we come back up to the beginning here, we're going to skip this first block, place down 2 blocks as you can see. And on this first part we're going to have a double chest just there, and then we're going to have a single by itself. And then underneath this double chest, just knock out that little block that you can see just there. Then we can come just round the back of these chests and we're going to place down one little shaft. Come to the front of them and place down 2 shafts. Then you're going to skip 3 blocks. 1, 2, 3. Place down 1 shaft. Skip another 2. Place down 1 shaft and then place 2 on the end just like that. Then we're going to link these ones up with our belts. So this one is going to go right through underneath this double chest. It links up just there, and then these 2 link up just like that. From here we can then come over to our little set of 3 chests that we've got just here, and into each one we are going to place a chute in a row just like so. Above each of those place down a millstone, and then if we just come around the back we can place down 3 little building blocks just to make life easier, and then on top of those we will have some mechanical drills. Come off the side of the drills and just build your little building blocks forwards a little bit. This is just creating somewhere where we're going to be able to generate our cobble. 3 little stairs in the middle of those, in front of those 3 little trapdoors, and that's just going to be able to waterlog these stairs and it won't be able to go anywhere. From here we can then just come up a little bit and we're just going to build up our blocks around in a circle. This now gives us somewhere where we're going to be able to put our lava a little bit later on, and that is our little cobblestone generator made. So what we've got here is we're going to have cobble that falls straight down into these mills. It is then going to get broken down into gravel because we're only interested in the gravel, and then because this chest is a combined chest, it's going to be double input onto this belt here. And the reason why we're doing that is because we're going to have to wash that gravel, and it's all going to rely on percentages whether or not it becomes flint or iron or not. From here we can come down to our chest at the bottom. We're going to place a andesite funnel on the single chest, and we're going to place a brass funnel on the double chest. We're then going to come over the other side, and this little block here, so we've come in by 3, we've just knocked out the 4th one. Underneath here we need to be able to wash our gravel. So we'll just remove these blocks so that we can dig down a little bit. And we're going to go down in a 3 by 2, down 3 blocks. So we're 3 blocks deep, making a 3 by 2 hole. Underneath this part of the belt where we want to do our washing, we're going to place a water wheel right down at the bottom there. On top of that you can place a fan. If you're crouching you'll put it the wrong way around, so make sure you're not crouching. And then what you can do is if you pop down a water bucket down on either side of the wheel alongside it, we'll be able to see which way it is currently going. So that is drawing air in. That's not what we want it to be doing. I'll just get rid of that and we'll place the water on the other side. There we go, that one is blowing now, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to surround this with our building blocks, being careful not to take out the water down at the bottom. And now when I place water on top of the fan, you'll see that the little particles are blue and they are blowing up into the belt. I can just surround that a little bit more and fill back in our building blocks. Don't worry that you can't see them up at the top, you can't sort of have any idea of what's going on unless you crouch down and have a look. That will still be enough to do the washing for us. From here we're going to be able to set up our little brass tunnels, which are going to be splitting our ingredients off onto the correct belts later on. And what we're going to do is we'll just miss the little belt bit there where we know the washer is underneath. And just off from that we will place 2 little tunnels side by side onto our belt. We're then going to skip 2 blocks and we're going to place a basin down over that back belt. Skip a block, place another basin down again over that back block. Over this second one, hop onto the belt and you can place a mixer directly above it. And on the one next to it, we need to put a little mechanical press in this one, but you're going to have to come off to one side and then clicking just above your basin, it'll appear above in the right direction. You need that little shaft that sticks out to be pointing towards your cobble generator. Just like so. From there, you can take an andesite funnel, and we need to have one going into each of these basins. So crouch down and just place an andesite funnel going into each one of them. And then from the front side, you need to have a brass funnel. Again, crouching down as you place them, you want to make sure that this little arrow that you can see just there is pointing into that basin. So it's going to be scooping items up off this belt and putting them into the basin for us. And then you can also just pop a couple of andesite funnels on your end chest as well. Okay, so next thing we need to do is we need to set up this little mechanical press so that it can make some andesite for us. To do that, we are going to come around the back. We're going to take a fluid pipe, and we're going to have that going into that little basin. From there, we're going to have a mechanical pump going into the top of the pipe, making sure that this little arrow is pointing down as that is telling us the direction the fluid is going in. From there, we can come up above. We're going to go up by 2 pipes. And then we need to add a little loop onto this so that we can attach 8 cauldrons to it. And the easiest way to do that is to just come off by 2. And then we're just going to make a little 2x4, as you can see just there. So you've got 8 little slots available to put a cauldron down, which is what we're going to do. Onto each one of these, just place down a little cauldron. From there, you can then place 1 block on top of any cauldron and another one, then knock out the first. This is just going to be where our lava is going to be able to drip down from. How you get lava up on top of here is up to you. Personally, I quite like to just fill it in. And then I will go around the outside with some trapdoors, making sure they are against the bottom portion of this top block that you can see. That's just a way that it's just going to hold the lava in there for us, and it just makes it a sort of little lava cage type thing. Nail that in, and then we'll just flip our trapdoors up. Underneath the side, we're going to have to place some dripstone just underneath in between the cauldrons and these blocks. And what you should see if you've done it right is that lava should be dripping off the tips of these dripstones. If it's not, if there's anything else, you've not got your lava set up on top properly. As long as you've got 8 cauldrons though, it will be enough lava to supply this system. Right, so last few bits and pieces that we just need to get done now. We need everything to be powered, we need to get things filtered, and we need to set off our cobblestone generator. So what we're going to do is we're going to come round behind where our drills are that you can see just there. And against each of those we are going to place an encased chain drive, making sure that they are all linking up just like you can see. From there, on this right hand side on this little encased chain drive, just place down a temporary building block. And then from the top of that we're going to come up by 2 shafts and we're going to place our windmill bearing on the top of there. What you use as a central block is up to you. I'm going to use andesite alloy block because why not at this point? And then we're going to build up our little windmill. It doesn't use a huge number of sails, but if you just go on each of the 4 sides and put 6 little blocks down, you will be fine. From here we can then come back down to the bottom. We can knock out that temporary building block that we had. We're going to add 3 little shafts onto the end underneath the windmill. So you should have 5 shafts from top to bottom. And then underneath the bottom of that you're going to place a little vertical gearbox, making sure that it is pointing towards the front of your contraption. Onto that then we are going to add on our rotation speed controller, and you're going to need to put a large cogwheel into the top of it. Just like so. From there, our rotation controller actually has 2 jobs. We're going to build up encased chain drives off the far side of it. 3 of them, just like so, so that we're in line with the ones that come off the back of our drills, and then you can link these ones up with a shaft between the 2, just like that. And we're also going to use it as well to power our mills, so you can remove these little blocks that we placed in before so that we can see the mills and we can get to them. And then from there we can tuck ourselves right in, so we'll jump up onto the end of this belt. we'll take a vertical gearbox and we're going to attach it to this little shaft that's coming off the rotation speed controller. And then on top of this vertical gearbox, we're going to need to place down a large cogwheel. It's a little bit tight, but you should be able to squeeze it in. From there, we can then use a small cogwheel and we're going to attach it onto either the first or last of these mills. It doesn't matter which one it is. And the reason why we've done that is because the windmill is only going to turn very slowly, so we've needed to speed it up with our speed controller. You can just leave it at 16, that is absolutely fine, or you can speed it up a little bit. If you speed it up too much, you'll need to add more sails on because you'll have too much stress, but just leave it at 16 for now. What that's done though is that this is now powering our drills, so they're going at a sensible speed, but we need the mills to be going at twice the speed of the drills, otherwise they will fill up too much, and that is why we've added this extra little cogwheel in that you can see here, because going from a large cogwheel to a small one will double its speed. And so though, from here we can use this little cogwheel that we have just put down to power our belt. And so we're just going to bring down two little shafts off the bottom of it, and then we're going to place a vertical gearbox so that we are connecting these little shafts to the belt, and that'll be able to run for us nicely. From here then, we can now run around the back and we're going to be able to power our little lava farm. So if you trace down the copper pipe and then just come off to one side, you should be able to find one of the little shafts that you left in the belt. That is what this little purpose is for it. Onto that, place a vertical gearbox, come up by a shaft, and then on top of the shaft you can place a small cogwheel. As you can see, that is going to mesh in very nicely with this little mechanical pump. And then we just need to hook it up to the mechanical press as well by placing a horizontal gearbox and then a vertical gearbox, just so that we can transmit that power around that slightly awkward corner. From here as well, we can also do our whisk. We can come down and punch out the block that is directly in line with it, and again placing a little vertical gearbox and then a shaft, and then another one, followed by a small cogwheel, and it'll be able to link up to that whisk for you. And lastly, but by no means least, we need to get everything filtered so that this actually starts to work for us. And the first thing you're going to want to do is come over to this little brass funnel that we've got up against our double chest. And if you hover your cursor over the filter and then just hold down the right button on your mouse, you'll find a little HUD comes up that tells you how much do you want to come out of this funnel at a time. So you can see that the top line is our up to, so I can have up to 13, up to 30, whatever. Or do we want an exact amount to come out at a time? And we're going to set it to exactly 10. And the reason why we do this is because if you have just one little piece of gravel coming out every time, because of the amount of time it's going to take to wash on this block, you'll end up with a backlog of gravel inside that chest. So if you set it to 10, it just stops that from happening. Knowing that though, and knowing that our gravel is going to be going along this belt into here, but we want it to get washed before it goes in, we also need to set a little filter here too to accept just the products of washed gravel. So we can take a little filter, and what we're going to do is we're going to set it to accept flint, and we're also going to set it to accept iron nuggets. Doing that using JEI is by far the easiest because you can just grab hold of whatever you want, drag it over, place it into the filter. So long as it is set to accept or deny, make sure it is the right hand boxes that are ticked in both cases, then just click enter. Then you've got your little filter set. And now once we place that on there, once the gravel comes along, it has to be washed on this block before its products can go in there. And one of the reasons why we've used tunnels rather than anything else is because these share an inventory. So despite the fact that flint and iron have both gone in on this side, we can actually set it now so that iron comes out of this side. So what we'll do is we take our little filter, we will remove the flint so it's only got the iron nuggets on it, then we're going to add gravel. Press enter, and then we're going to place that onto this nearest tunnel to it. The reason for this is because, of course, this little mill is also going to be producing gravel for us, which is going along this belt, and we want it to just go straight through. So with that little filter there, with iron and gravel, it will be able to do so. We just need to set this one to only accept the flint. So we'll come back again, remove these, add in our flint, press enter, then we'll place that just on that little tunnel on the other side. And just in case that didn't make much sense, what we've done is we've set up this little tunnel so that while it's going to receive gravel and flint and iron, it is only going to let out flint on the far side, and on the near side it's going to let out both the gravel and the iron nuggets. The reason being because we don't want iron going into our andesite generator. It's not needed in there, it's needed in the andesite alloy generator instead. That being said, we now need to set up the last two little filters. So we need our gravel to be going into our mechanical press. So we'll just set that one up. And that will be the last of the ingredients now for making our andesite. And the very final one now, we just need to be just taking in some iron nuggets. There we go. And so now they are going to go in there, along with the andesite that comes out from this little basin. They'll both go in and get whisked up into our alloy for us. And then from there, the actual last thing we need to do is to just set off the cobble generator by placing a little lava source in that central hole. That will then fall down and it's going to form cobble up against those waterlogged stairs. You can cover this over, of course, just so that your lava doesn't end up catching anything on fire, and just so that it, in my opinion, looks a little bit safer. From here, we can then set off our windmill. We run around the other side and just right-click on it with an empty hand. It will set off and everything is going to start moving. Okay, so little farm is off and running now. We can see that our gravel is going straight through and is getting sucked up into this first basin. It's in there with the lava that is coming down from the top. On the other side, if we just have a little look, we can see here comes our gravel to be washed. The flint has gone in and it's got stamped. That has just become andesite, which is mixing with our nuggets, and then they are all gathering here in the chest at the end. You will find with this that you do get a surplus of gravel, simply because these mills will always produce gravel, but the chance of them becoming flint is only 25%, and the chance of them becoming iron is only 12%. So you will end up with a surplus of gravel that will also build up in this chest. But that's okay, there's plenty of uses for gravel in a world. And there you have it though, there is our little automatic andesite alloy farm that we have made. You will find that the most challenging part of building this is definitely those filters. They are faffy, I will not lie, but they are what you need in order to make sure all the recipes are going where they should be. Anywho though, I hope you've enjoyed this little tutorial all about how to automate andesite alloy. Happy Minecrafting everyone, and I'll see you again soon. Bye bye!